Kilo Charlie 9, Zulu India Mike.
Kilo Charlie 9, come back with the rest of that call sign slowly phonetically.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, it is Zulu India Mike, Zed India Mike, KC9.
Zulu India Mike, Roger, Roger. What's the name there?
Zulu India Mike, Roger, Roger. What's the name there?
Hi, Jim. This is Dave, Delta Alpha Victor Echo. I'm in Salem. Don't know if I'm getting you ground wave or short skip or what, but you're 20 over 9 here. So I'm hoping to optimize my audio a little bit with your help and suggestion, Roger.
Yes, sir. Now, what's your location? And let me look around, see if I can find just a little bit better path. Roger?
Roger.
Not far from you, I don't think.
I'm copying you better on my local, well, actually, the Georgia SDR. Where are you, sir? What is your location?
SDR, where are you, sir? What is your location?
I'm between Pekin and Salem, Indiana, not far north of you. I think you're in New Albany, Roger.
Yes, sir. Okay, Salem, Indiana. Got you there. And what radio are you running today, Dave?
It's humble. It's an ICOM 7 to 18 is the transmitter. I've got a transmit receive switch, and I'm also using an ICOM R75 as the receiver. And I've had historically good audio, Jim, using a Heil Pro 7 headset, which is kind of a peas and carrots with an ICOM. But I don't want to use a headset all the time, and I've got a desk mic. I'm a bit of a little bit of similar history to you. I've done a lot of live audio and a little bit of broadcast and studio, so I understand very well the mechanics of it, but it's hard to tweak your signal. I've literally yesterday I moved to an Electro Voice PL10 mic, which I'm talking on right now, and the DBX 376 pro grade 1U channel strip with preamp, multi-band sweepable EQ, de-esser, and a compressor all in one. So, and I don't think I have it very optimal, Roger.
Roger. Now, you might, usually we start our setup with the engaging of the compressor at a token amount of 3. It's a setting that you'll never hear active on the air, but it helps us arrive at our final 3 dB dynamic range destination. So if you'd be interested in our setup, it would start with the activation of your compressor at a 3 level. Roger?
Roger, okay, we can do that. Now, the ICOM has an internal compressor that is a simple on-off, and I presently have it on. I'd probably prefer to use the outboard compression. What's your thoughts on that?
If it's just an off and on, I would turn it off, and if you have one that's variable, use your variable. And we're only looking for about a third of the capabilities of the compressor, a 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100, Roger?
A 3 out of 10, 30 out of 100, Roger?
Roger, well, I've got the gain reduction at 3 to 1 right now, and I've got the threshold set about, what is it, about 10, minus 10, which is not very aggressive. My gain reduction meter shows very little reduction, Roger.
Exactly. We just need just a tad. And then after we get our compressor in line at a 3, move to your ALC with mic gain in hand, and as you speak fairly rapidly, 100, 200, 300, to be able to see that meter come up and be able to read it, because if you just went 1, 2, 3, the meter would never have a chance to come up and accurately reflect what it's reading. So as you speak fairly rapidly, 100, 200, 300, with mic gain in hand, adjust mic gain until your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3.
Your ALC is running mid-scale to 2/3.
Roger that. Hold on. I'll set that up right now. Oops. Okay, KC9ZIM for ID 100, 200, 300, 100, 200, 300, 100, 200. Are the ALC up to about 3/4 scale, Roger? How's that, Jim?
Yes, sir. And I just went over to my local antenna. I've got a good copy on you on my local antenna. Why don't you tell me in about 10 seconds or so what you like best about your antenna system, what it is, and if you know how it's operating for you, Roger?
Roger. Well, I've got a compromise antenna. It's kind of my go-to, and I'm on a G5RV Jumbo today. Use it for most net and local domestic communications. I've got a Gap Titan vertical that actually works quite well. I've over the years learned the difference between vertical and horizontal noise. The Gap is amazing with DX, especially into Europe, and I guess that's an angle of launch thing. I'm not entirely sure. The Gap's about 12 feet in the air on a black pipe, and the Gap to get back to the G5RV is about 42 feet up north-south. So those are the two that I've got. Roger?
Roger. Okay, I've had a chance to listen to your audio, and I would suggest if you can make it to your EQ page, we're cranking a little top end there, about 3 clicks treble boost from where you are. Roger?
Okay, just did that. Kicked it 3 dB on what the high is. This channel strip's got a low, it's got a sweepable mid, and it's got high, and the high is pretty way up there. It's about plus 10 dB now.
Okay, do you know what the frequency for the treble EQ is?
Yes, the mid EQ is right now at 1K, and I've got it boosted a couple of dB.
Okay, now the mid-range, we always want to keep that one flat, because the whole idea behind an equalizer is striking a balance between the top to the mid-range and the bottom to the mid-range. And if you boost the mid-range, it's so much harder for the top and bottom to catch up. So we want that mid-range to always be flat. And with that being so, then after you go to plus or minus 0 on your mid-range, go to your treble EQ and maybe boost that one a couple more clicks treble boost.
Okay, done. I'm flat on the mid at 0 dB at 1K. High end's way up now, about 12 dB up.
Roger. And what is the frequency of the top end EQ? Do you know?
No, sir, I don't. And not for sure. I could get the strip out. And this is a studio grade, 1U channel strip, so it probably can easily get up to 10K. Probably way higher than I need for amateur radio, but nevertheless, it helps with intelligibility. I can boost it a little more and take it all the way and see how it sounds, Roger.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me just hear that.
Okay, this is plus 15 on the high end. How's that sound?
It must be sampling way high, because I'm not really hearing a great increase in the top end on radio. And usually, I suggest top end EQ somewhere around 2.5, 2.6 K center frequency on treble EQ. Roger.
Roger. Well, let me try the mid and boost 2.5, because I absolutely can here, and take that up about 2 dB. How do you hear that?
Oh, you have a 2.5?
Well, the mid frequency is sweepable. I can actually go between 200 and 8K on it.
Oh, right. So 2.6, and you just, what's the boost of that right now?
I turned it from 0 to 8. It's up 8 dB.
All right, stay on mic now. You're kind of moving around on mic. So, and when you do that, you have a shift of not only audio level, but also of the frequency response as you move around. So try to stay on mic, on axis to the mic. And why don't you tell me the best thing you like about your radio in 10 seconds, and let me listen to you now, Roger.
No, Roger, thanks. There's not much to tell you about the transceiver. It's a 718. It's kind of a entry-level little transceiver. I don't use the receiver in it. The ICR75 receiver is far superior. And as far as the mic, I don't know. I expect with your audio background, you're familiar with an EVP-L10. Not sure what its original intent. It looks like a baby RE20, which I know you're familiar with that. And when finances permit, I'm probably gonna get a 320 or a 20 and see if that is helpful. So, and let me know how that sounds, Jim.
Yeah, I think it's sounding a lot better. You have a lot more articulation on the top end now. If you are going to get another microphone, I would suggest going to an electret condenser mic. I don't know if your radio probably is not set up to run that directly, but you could always use a ART preamp or somebody's preamp there and get that. Use that for the power supply for the mic and go in that way, Roger.
Roger. This DBX channel strip has phantom voltage and would work fine with that, no problem at all. And I actually have several condenser large diaphragm mics. I've always not felt like they weren't great for broadcast. I've got a couple of Shures, a U57, and several other large diaphragm mics, but including a Rode NT1 tube mic. But I felt like this PL10 was kind of close to an baby RE20, and I like that sound. Roger.
Roger, well, we are getting quite a bit, a lot more top end now than where we were, so I think that's good. The whole thing about radio is we don't always have perfect conditions for communications, and so what we want is a very articulated audio that folks can understand under duress. Roger?
Yeah, Roger, yeah. I run a traffic net on Tuesday night, and it's nice to be able to kind of cut through the crud sometimes, but then there's there's rag chew where you don't want to quite be as much in people's faces from an audio perspective, if that makes sense.
Oh, Roger. And also I would suggest if you happen to have a foam windscreen laying around, I would put that on the mic also that's one of the best filters that you can run on radio is the foam windscreen on the mic. Roger?
I do. I've got a foam windstream I'll have to do. I usually have stayed away from those, but and I'm pretty close to this thing. I probably need to back off. I'm now about a hand's width from the mic, and that probably sounds better, I'm kind of guessing.
I like where you were, but I did catch some transients, so if you do have a foam windscreen, I'd just slip it on top of that mic, and then you can work it any way you want, Roger.
Oh, Roger, okay. Yeah, that's easy, cheap fix. I actually have a de-esser as well that I've got set at minus 6 dB on a frequency of about 2.5K. I see it kicking in a little bit, but not doing much. Is that something to worry about? Is the de-esser of any value, or should I just turn it off?
I would turn it off because that's exactly the frequency that I was trying to pull out of your radio, is that 2.5, 2.6 syllabic range for articulation, and if you de-ess that, if you have your de-esser down at that frequency, it just, really works on the articulation or the absence of it with the de-esser.
Roger, just kick the de-esser off, and so it's probably passing that 2.5, 3K stuff with not attenuated at all. So, okay, well, very good. Gosh, Jim, you've been very helpful. I didn't know you existed. I was reading your bio on QRZ, and the amazing background broadcast is fun. I think I know which big radio station you worked with, Roger.
Yes, sir. WHAS.
Roger, yeah, amazing. I look forward to looking at some of your stuff. I was working with a friend up in Illinois last night who knew of you and said, "No, jump on this guy's net. He'll be able to give you an experienced ear and some good suggestions on getting your audio tweaked." So, Jim, I really appreciate you, my friend, and hopefully, since we're close, someday meet sometime. I don't know, a possibility.
Roger, Dave. Yes, sir. And also, we are recording, so if you want to hear your radio and hear our work here as we came along, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for KC9VKV, followed by the word logbook, that will take you to this recording. It'll be cut number 1 of some 2,000 Qso-Vlog AirCheck recordings. Roger?
Roger, appreciate that. And by the way, your audio is fantastic, but you probably know that. But yeah, I've already got that up and looking at it. So I don't want to be a hog and take all the time away from others. But Jim, thank you. Great to meet you, and God bless you. Appreciate you very much. KC9ZIM.
Roger, Dave. And also, there's another site, KC9VKV highlights. On a YouTube search, KC9VKV highlights, and this is a list, where logbook is kind of a sequential date-by-date thing. Highlights is a kind of a random more human thing than less technical. Roger?
Roger, copy that. Okay. Last thing before I let you go, do you think I'm okay on level? I'm actually kind of listening to this on one side of my headphone and hearing what's coming out of my preamp, and I like it. But am I okay on level? It seems like my peak coming out of my amp is a little lower than it has been. Would that be something I'd tweak a little bit?
Well, your ALC is your Bible. And what happens, we recommend that you run that ALC mid-scale to 2/3, and by doing that, you wind up with a 3 dB dynamic range, which is 80 to 85% of average peak modulation. So I would suggest that maybe you keep your ALC meter out for the next week or so, and just, for something to do as you're talking, just be looking at your ALC meter, trying to keep your ALC meter in the sweet spot, mid-scale to 2/3, by command of your voice. And by the end of the week, I think you'll be an expert.
Roger, great suggestion. That's where I am about now. It's swinging about 3 dB, about 2/3 scale. This old 718 just has a digital bar, goes up to 9 on the ALC, and I see it, about the same thing on my Ameritron amp. So I think it's working.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very good. Well, let me say 73 to you, sir. Thanks for dropping by. And if you get a chance, check out your audio there on the YouTube. And then if you get another chance, maybe join us next Friday afternoon. We run between 3:30 and 5. Roger?
I'll be a regular. Thank you. Your help is greatly appreciated. KC9ZIM will be listening on the net.
Roger, Dave, 73, sir. Have a good afternoon, great weekend. This is the Friday afternoon Qso-Vlog net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.